Hey everyone, welcome back to Engelbard. And I want to extend a very special welcome to all of the new subscribers that have found their way here just within the last few weeks. It seems I've had a couple of old videos that hit it kind of big for some reason, so glad to have you here and welcome aboard. I also wanted to let you know that I do still do my version comparison videos of the same game on multiple platforms. There'll be plenty of those coming, including a brand new one next week. I also do some videos showing off new Sega Genesis music that I've created, as well as reviews on things like single-board computers with their software and hardware, and I also occasionally cover things that are new, like some accessories or the thing I'm going to talk about here today. What am I talking about here today? Well, I'll be giving you some news and some game updates for the upcoming game system, the Intellivision Amico. Let's keep it respectful in the comments, please. So let's kick things off with a little bit of news, shall we? In a not particularly shocking development, Intellivision announced that the Amico is not going to make its intended April 2021 release date. Now, in several of my prior Amico videos, I questioned whether or not they would be able to meet this date, and it looks like I was right to question that.
Nobody likes a gloater, right, homie?
Uh-huh.
See?
The main reasons given for the delay were the component shortages that lots of companies are having to deal with this year, as well as the desire to launch in most major territories simultaneously. The new date will be 10/10/2021, exactly 1 year from the originally announced release date. What do I think about this news? Honestly, I don't think it's that big a deal. Hold on, hear me out. If you're a hardcore fan who's completely bought in already, sure, you may be upset by this, and I get that. But with this pandemic thing going on, the world's been a little out of whack lately, and as you've no doubt seen, even large companies are having trouble getting their tech products onto store shelves. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing anything here. If you announce a release date and then change it, you break faith with your customers. Do it twice, and well, I think we can agree that ain't good. So I would humbly suggest that Intellivision stick to this release date no matter how many Amigos they can push out to store shelves in October, and not delay the system a third time. I also wonder with a delay if we may see any minor changes to the hardware at all. Personally, I'd like to see them up the internal memory to 64 gigabytes. 32 gigs would have been kinda small for a device coming in 2020, let alone for a device like this coming at the end of 2021. Now that's just my opinion, and the minimum I think they should do is increase the storage at this point. Will they do that? Probably not, but honestly, I have no idea. I mean, it is also possible other components might change due to shortages, but we'll just have to see if Intellivision announces anything on this front. So that'll do it for the little bit of news I wanted to cover with you here today. Now let's take a look at some of the upcoming games Intellivision has been showcasing recently on their YouTube channel. I will have links to the full videos from the Intellivision channel in the description of this video if you want to check those out. First up, we have Breakout. I'm going to come right out and say that I was never a huge fan of the original Breakout. I always found it a bit on the boring side. I mean, it's not much fun trying to get the last 1 or 2 bricks when the ball just won't angle correctly, am I right? I enjoyed some of the quote-unquote modern takes on it from the late 80s and early 90s like Arkanoid, but they all suffered from a lot of the same problems. As you can see here, Breakout on the Amico looks a little bit different. First off, we have a horizontal orientation, and you actually make forward progress towards a goal at the end of a level. It also allows for at least 2 players to tackle these levels simultaneously in a co-op mode, which is a nice addition to the formula. The music also sounds pretty interesting in this version. I suggest you head over to the Intellivision video so you can check it out. The last time I tried including a video with music like this, I got a copyright claim, so I'm just not going to bother doing that anymore. Now my early impression from this video of Breakout is that it looks like one of those games that's fun for a few minutes here and there, but wears thin if you try to play longer sessions of it. I don't see myself buying Breakout, but you never know. It might have more staying power than it seems. I'm definitely up for giving it a shot though. I'm always willing to be surprised. And I've played plenty of games that left sometimes even a bad first impression that I ended up loving. So Breakout, yeah, at minimum, it's kind of an interesting looking game, and I would like to try it. And besides, who can't wait to see the message that they're out of balls? Another game Intellivision showed off not too long ago was the surprisingly controversial Finnegan Fox. How is it controversial? I'll get to that shortly. As you can see here, it looks like a pretty standard platform action title. Visually, it's got that whole vectorized flash aesthetic going on, which, as many of you watching this know, I am not the biggest fan of. The main gameplay gimmick involves changing the area you're in to a different season to unlock new pathways or other ways to traverse obstacles. From what I've seen of this game so far, I'd say, yeah, this one looks pretty interesting to me. The music also sounds great. Definitely check out the original video linked in the description so you can hear it. I'd go so far as to say that, as it stands, this may be the first title I've seen for the Amico that I really want to get my hands on, despite not being a huge fan of the visual style. Now let's discuss the controversy. You see, Finnegan Fox isn't exactly a new game. Intellivision hasn't been hiding that or anything. Tommy Tallarico came right out and talked about it in their video. But if you're not up on Intellivision news and videos, you may not realize that. This game is actually based on a multi-platform title released a while back called Fox and Forests. Now, that's still not quite the controversial part, but here it is. Fox and Forests was a pixel art game that basically mimicked the look and sound of an early to mid-90s Super Nintendo platformer. For anyone that was a fan of that game and its homage to that era, well, they may be a bit put off by the visual changes here in this version. Now, I'm going to come right out and let you know that I'd either never heard of Fox and Forests, or I had heard of it and forgotten that it existed. It happens, I'm old. So personally, I have no emotional attachment to the original. But I can feel anyone's pain that is upset about the shift in visual style, as there are a few classic games that were remade with a similar look to Finnegan Fox that I was not a big fan of. Here's the Amico version again. I'm really interested in the general consensus out there. Tell me, my retro gaming friends, which look do you prefer? One thing I'll add, it would have been nice if there was an option to switch between the old and new graphical styles on the fly at any time. Sort of like the modern port/remake of Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. Oh well, what can you do, right? Anyway, Finnegan Fox? Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. The final game I'll show you and talk about today is Space Strikers. This is basically a simple, futuristic multiplayer sports game. Going by the video that Intellivision put out, it seems like this game is a fun local multiplayer title. I bet it's good trash-talking fun when you're playing with other people, assuming you have other people to play with. I haven't seen single-player footage yet, but I doubt that single-player will hold the same appeal. For games like this, it rarely ever does. Personally, I find this game the least interesting of the three that I've covered here today. I've picked up games that were kinda like this in the past, and in my experience, they often get played a bit up front, then in the case of physical games go sit on a shelf for years, or in the case of digital games, get deleted to make room for other stuff. I think for a game like this to stay relevant over any length of time, it really needs an online component, and tournaments and other such things. Just in case this game is a little bit deeper than our first real glimpse of it appears, I'll check out more of Space Strikers when it becomes available. Also, Space Strikers is coming to PC, so unless the controls on the Amico version make it feel radically different, it's really hard to envision this as a major release for the platform. Alright, so what have we learned here today? Well, first and foremost, the Intellivision Amico has been delayed until October 10th of 2021. Aside from that, we've also learned that some of the upcoming games look pretty good, but those coupled with the other games that have already been shown and some games we know about that have not been shown yet, still leads me to believe that there are some holes in this lineup, that it really needs another major title or two to help cement its appeal to a broader audience. Personally, I still would like to see some games that look a little more polished and some that represent more of a long-form gameplay style, meaning things that we might see in like an RPG or a Metroidvania, for example. Now, I'm not saying that the Intellivision Amico needs to be filled to the brim with RPGs and Metroidvanias, but it would be nice to have at least one or two of them, or a few other games that are in subgenres related to them, wouldn't you say? What questions remain right now? Well, the obvious ones are, 1. Will any of the hardware components change, either due to supply issues or the extra time available? And 2. Can Intellivision stick to the 10/10/2021 release date? We don't know how this year is going to go, so it's possible any supply chain issues that exist now could still conceivably exist 8 months from now. You just never know what the future holds. Now, I will be keeping my eyes open for news and developments on the system, so if I see anything interesting either on the hardware front or game front, I absolutely will cover it here in a future video. So that's going to just about do it for this video, my retro gaming and future gaming friends. If you enjoyed the video, please toss it a like. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and also help spread the word about the channel. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Amico and any of its news or games in the comments below, as long as you can keep things cool. With that, I'll say thanks for watching, and see me later.